Hey, what's going on? And welcome back to Gear Stories. We're here for episode 3. As promised in last month's episode, today we're taking a look at the Great Divide SSD-SB. Now, this is the first time where I feel like I have to do a disclaimer on a video, so here we go. This one's been with me for a while, and it has the signs to show it. So we're going to tell some stories about this thing and talk about why there's a massive crack in the top. But you should be taking all of the proper measures to keep your guitars safe, keep them in a humidity-controlled environment. Do not abuse them like I did this one. I've had this guitar probably for just about 8 or 9 years, maybe even 10. So one day I was walking through a local guitar center and I spotted this along with 2 or 3 other Great Divides all in a line, and they were all marked used. I flagged down one of the employees and he kind of gave me the rundown, and he said that basically they were from Musician's Friend and the guitar line was discontinued. So they were kind of selling off some old inventory of these Great Divides, and they had them marked down as used for whatever reason. This guitar was marked for like 130 or 150 or something like that. So I grabbed it. This was probably about a year after I had gotten my first Taylor, and it stood up to it pretty well. I'm not going to say that it outperforms it. For the price, I picked it up, and I ended up really starting to enjoy this guitar. So I ended up playing this guitar a lot with my very first project that I really took seriously. I had this little thing that never really went anywhere with a couple buddies that I had grown up with called the Broken Frame, even before Villa Manor. This guitar did a lot with the Broken Frame before it had dissolved. So fast forward a couple years, I get together with Melanie, and we're basically living together in my grandparents' basement, which we had divided. The one half was kind of Melanie and I's area for gaming and watching TV, and then the other half was where I recorded. So we were moving it around, and this guitar was on a stand right by this old big bubble TV, like glass screen, big, bubble coming out the back, not the modern, like little slim line HD TVs that we have today. And it was on this like old TV stand with wheels on it. So we were kind of rolling it, and the TV had tipped, and it took the Great Divide out with it, and it ended up landing like this on its face, and there is now a crack right here. But yeah, that's from a giant, probably easily 40-50 pound TV falling on it and landing on it as it's on the ground. So I picked it up after that and I played it expecting it to, be all out of whack, because I figured that would affect the bridge and therefore would affect the action and intonation all the way up and down the neck. So I tuned it up. It was way out of tune, of course, and it actually held tune, and the intonation was, relatively spot on, and it didn't even have any fret buzz after that. So I was really, really surprised. It does have some fret buzz now. Full disclaimer, this guitar could use a setup, and you'll probably hear that when I play the little demonstration. There is some buzzing going on. It's not perfect, but again, this is my beater guitar. So much so that I actually have a buddy who has one pet peeve when it comes to guitars, and that's when they're strung backwards. A lot of times if you buy a used guitar off of somebody that's inexperienced, you'll find that the strings are going around the wrong side of the tuning peg. I do that with the high E string on this guitar, just specifically to mess with him because, I don't know, I'm a terrible person. So as I touched on a little bit there, this guitar has seen the stage a couple times. I used it live way back in the day with actually a sound hole pickup. I used it at Cafe Supreme, which has since changed its name. But I played at Cafe Supreme with this, as I think that was a Villa Manor show. And I also used this as a separate tuning guitar. Back when I did a lot of Goo Goo Dolls covers, I would use this for Iris and name. And because of that, I actually named this guitar Iris, which you could see it Sharpied right here, much like Taylor is Sharpied on the back of my Taylor 210. I actually believe I did that with the same Sharpie at the same time. I named these two guitars, which were my only two acoustics at the time. Since then, my acoustic collection has expanded. I love acoustic guitars. What can I say? So let's go ahead and get into the specifications of this guitar. So as I suspect, the name SSD-SB likely stands for Solid Spruce Dreadnought Sunburst. Not positive on that, but it is a solid spruce top, Sitka spruce. It is a dreadnought shape, as you can see. The back and sides are a laminated sapele. There is a plastic binding, which does add a nice touch. The bridge is rosewood, along with the fingerboard. The neck, like most acoustics, is mahogany. It came with Great Divide tuners. One of them broke, so now it has this tuner that my buddy Josh gave me from an SG that his friend was throwing in the dumpster. It did have some problems, but so he stripped the tuners off of that, gave me all 6 of them. I used one of them for this, and now I have spare tuners for when another one of these breaks. But they do hold tune well. I can't really complain. It's just that one did break, which, you know, this guitar had a TV fall on it, so that could have even been my fault, so no fault of the Great Divides there. As I stated in last month's video, this guitar was made by 2 old hippies. The Great Divides are now discontinued, but that same company now owns Breedlove and makes Bedell guitars, and this is the guitar that led me to purchasing a Bedell. I figured, you know, this guitar could take so much abuse and handle it so well and still sound good and still play nice. Action is incredibly low. For those reasons, I wanted to see what 2 old hippies had to offer in their higher end line, which led me to picking up the Bedell guitar, and I'm very happy that I did. And I'm very happy that I still have this one with me. And I actually have another Great Divide, which is even more similar to the Bedell in that it has a solid cedar top, and the back and sides on that one are also a laminate sapele, whereas the Bedells are solid. But I have rambled on about this awesome guitar enough, so I'm going to go ahead and let it do some of its own talking. As I said, this guitar is in need of a bit of a setup, so you will likely hear some buzzing, but it's not too bad, and I think it's definitely acceptable for what this guitar has gone through, and, you know, it hasn't seen a professional since, so it probably never will. Here is a little intro that I like to start some shows with. I like to call this one Blue Skies. To slow it down a bit and show you some finger picking, here's one of my songs, Next to You. Alright, now if we go a little bit more to the aggressive side, here is the intro to Gear Stories. And I always like to show you a little bit of lead guitar, so here is the solo that I did on our cover of One Headlight. As always, thank you so much for checking out the video. If you want to help out, you can click subscribe so you can stay up to date with new videos. And if you want to stay in touch with new music releases and show dates, go over to bradabbotmusic.com and join the mailing list. You'll get a free download when you do. And I'm also on Instagram and Facebook at Brad Abbott Music, just for the day-to-day sharing kind of things. So again, thank you for being here. I hope to see you in the next one. We'll talk to you soon.